Hola, hola a todos, bienvenidos a otra reacción brava con nuestros chicos de Santos Bravos. En esta ocasión estamos viendo el challenge que tiene que ver con Nuestro Sol de México con Luis Miguel. We're going to be looking at the newest challenge from last week's episode where they're doing Suave by Luis Miguel, who's known as El Sol de Mexico, which translates to Mexico's sun, as in like sunlight, the big ball of light. For those of you who don't know a lot of Luis Miguel, he's still very popular, but he basically started his career when he was pretty young, like a preteen, technically, literally, and he won his very first Grammy, not Latin Grammy, but like Grammy, when he was 14 years old. That's how good he was of a vocalist, even like as a teenager. He was so popular and he was like so well with his vocals that he had at that time, like the vocal range that he had. And obviously as he got older and matured, his vocal range elevated and improved. He's done so many different types of genres, from pop to ballads to mariachi to big band, jazz, tango. He's covered them all. And he's the only Latin artist who didn't, I guess you could say he didn't do an album in English when we had the whole Latin invasion during Ricky Martin and what's that? Oh my God, I'm forgetting. Enrique Iglesias. Luis Miguel was the only one that kind of just like stayed in his lane, and he was doing his thing in Spanish and Spanish only. But so obviously he's a very popular artist. Like a lot of Latin artists like recognize his work and what he did for the industry. And just to kind of like equate his level of fame, he dated Mariah Carey for 3 years. So he's kind of a big deal if you're not like aware of who he is in the Latin music in Mexico. You know, he's Puerto Rican, so he's Mexican American, but he's like huge in Mexico and other parts of Latin America. But so I'm excited that they finally got to cover one of his songs, because it's kind of funny that when they mentioned this challenge, I was like, I literally had just replied to somebody in the comments saying that Alejandro gives me a young Luis Miguel vibes. And I'm like, oh my God, now he's covering a Luis Miguel song. That's crazy. So obviously, like I have mentioned either in comments or in previous videos, I feel like the choice of songs that they're making them cover, they're getting a little bit more, they're staying still within the line of like feeling youthful, sounding youthful, but the lyric wise, it's a little bit more mature. They're not like obviously explicit, but it's more like romantic love and like more mature, and the words give you a play on words where they're talking about like more mature type of topics, about like, you know, being more sensual. So obviously this song Suave, the composition, you can hear a lot of the big band instruments in the background. So it's a very like upbeat song, because it's kind of celebrating the way he's celebrating like Suave, translating to like a softness. So he's singing like he's singing to the girl saying you're like suave, you're soft, not only in like your temperament, but also like your body is soft, your skin is soft, like everything about you is soft, just like I dreamed, you know? So with the band in the background, the band sounds, it gives you this very fresh, open sound. He's like celebrating like, oh my God, you're everything I dreamed of, and I'm finally with you. So we did see the little bits of what they edited during the episode of like how they did it. So they kept very true to the original instrumentation, the arrangement, and even like the vocal arrangements. Now it's just going to be a matter of how they assign the lines to each member to see if they're able to hit those vocals, because Luis Miguel does have very powerful vocals. That's why some of his most popular songs that made him even like gain more popularity like in the 90s were his bolero time, where he did like 2 albums that it's like just called Romances, and it was literally just like ballads of him like swooning and crooning to you and giving you those big band, you know, those big vocals. But anyways, we're gonna go ahead and be taking a look at group 1. And hopefully I won't have to do like any trimming for copyright. That was a struggle trying to get the post updated for the last Santos Bravas. I'm like, hi, don't come for me. Here we go with group number 1. We have Gawe, Lucas, Yanis. I think, wait, who's else is there? Pablo, and I think it's Leo next to him. I'm not sure about putting Lucas and Yanis in the same group. Personally, if you guys have noticed, those two, I tend to mix them up. Like, I know facially they look different, but I always get them flip-flop. Like, I call Lucas Yanis, like I call Yanis Lucas. I'm like, Lucas is Argentinian, no, that's Yanis. So I don't know if it was a good idea to have them in the same group and literally like standing next to each other, but let's see. Okay, let's look at, I'll go back to Pablo. So I wanted to look at the styling first. I love the styling that they did here for them. Like the long trench coats, like, oh, chef's kiss. Like this is the style that fits perfectly with the theme of the song. Like the stylist really like did so well here. I feel like they're finally listening to the fans' feedback, hopefully. Or maybe they just like realized, hey, I need to style them better. But I love that they have all different lengths of like trench coats. Not gonna lie, this leather red one that I think it's Leo is wearing, just on the black, he's like all black with the red trench. So good, with just like the only accents being like the necklace and like his belt. And then also the same thing, the monochrome with Yanis, with he's doing like the tan and beige colors with the white shirt underneath, and the accent is just the necklace. Like perfect, less is more. Same thing with Pablo over here. He has got the blue trench coat on, like kind of like a suit style going on, all in navy, and I think underneath is just like a white shirt from the little glimpse that I can see, and it is like the little Superman hairstyle. Perfect. The same. I love how they stuck with like monochrome with everybody, just like straight, like plain colors, not a lot of pattern. Because we have Lucas over here doing like the charcoal, like a gray, a charcoal with a white, and also I think he has a necklace. And then Kawe, my man Kawe, they also got him in all black, but he's the only one that has like the pattern trench coat style, but it fits his personality. So it still looks uniform with everybody else because they're all wearing like the same, like a similar length of the trench coat, and it's the same like outfit and just varying colors. So good, so good. Good job, stylists. But let's go back to the start. Obviously it's gonna have some choreo. Tan bella. Estimula su calor, su forma de caminar, sensual hacia mí. You can, okay, I don't want you guys to think that like, oh, just because the coaches are mentioning like Lucas and Yanis recently that everybody's jumping on them. This is something that I've been mentioning about Yanis, either in the comments or in previous videos. Both Yanis and Lucas, they have their weak moments with the vocals. They haven't been able to maintain like strong vocals. We always hear them like sing a little bit out of tune and like be a little bit out of step. It's not like obvious huge mistakes, errors, but they're small and they're there and they're noticeable because it feels like it's a glitch. You're like, who messed up in the choreo? Somebody's off step. But in this case, Lucas went a little bit off key when he was singing his portion. I love the transition between Pablo's stronger vocals to Lucas's like softer tone, but he did go a little bit off key. And Pablo started off giving me like the same vibe as Luis Miguel does. Like that strong power, like a bit of a power ballad, like strong vocal. which is why they had him open, because they're like, okay, we're gonna have you open and you're gonna hit the same keys, and you're gonna bring people that are aware of the song. You're gonna be like, oh my god, he's actually doing the song the way that the original singer did it. Like hacia mí, like he went flat in the end. The sensual, that little key change kind of tripped him up. So at the end he just went like hacia mí. He was flat. Oh my god, his sounds so good, Yanis. Yanis, like that vocal color, you can feel it, how it's like so smooth. I know, like, you guys are gonna think I'm weird, but like sometimes I can feel like if a singer is doing their job and emoting the feeling correctly, you feel it like in your heart, in your bones. So like, oh, this is giving me a velvety, like his vocals are giving me a very velvety feeling, just like it's like so soft and smooth. I wish he sounded like this more often. And this portion, Leo actually did well. He maintained the vocals. And again, if you guys notice, I like how they're switching up the vocal colors, because they started with Pablo's power vocals and then they switched it to Lucas and Yanis, which are giving you like a softer vocal, but it's still giving you the same feeling. And then they go back to Leo for that strong vocal, like very clear, crisp, strong vocal. Whereas Yanis was more like a little bit breathy, but like smooth. It's like breathy, but you can still hear it because he's still giving you enough air so the vocals are still coming out. But here, I don't know if this chord is supposed to be like a domino effect of them tilting, or if some of them not tilting enough. Let's see. So yeah, like, see, if you notice these two, their tilt was like very exaggerated. Yanis is already out of the tilt, and then Lucas and Kawit did the tilt, but not as exaggerated. As you can even see Pablo's mix stand is really off the floor, whereas Kawe and Lucas is not that high. So when they're in the front shot, it's very obvious that some is like very exaggerated and some are not as much. And then Yanis already like came back. I don't know if it's because he was singing or if he didn't do it for as long. No, because that was Kawe's time to sing. And Kawe was still, he did like singing his part while tilting back up. So another example of Yanis being like ahead of people by like a second. And when it's just 5 people and they're spaced out this much, it's very obvious. It stands out who's like offbeat. Oh, I wish they wouldn't have cut the Soñé and gone into the turn. Like, that would have worked fine if he had a head mic, because you can hear that like the word gets cut off because of the choreo. So if they would have had a head mic, or if he would have had a handheld, he could have finished it while doing the turn. But I like, I don't know if I like the key change that they did. That they go, he went into the falsetto for Soñé, because the original is more like from your chest. Como siempre te soñé. And they had him go into falsetto. But I will say, I like his transitions between his falsetto to his like his chest voice. You can hear it how easily he does it, and it sounds good because it doesn't sound strained. The way he can transition between ese perfume de tu piel, you know, like the transitions it so beautifully. You can hear it. Son tus caricias. You can hear the little change, and he's like doing it well, so it sounds good. And this, sorry if I'm pausing too much, but in this little bit, I feel like it was, even though Pablo hit the notes, the style, he changed it. Because they went from Kawa's like very like long, finishing the words like very long vocals, to Pablo, como controlar, da, 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 da. Like he's truncating it, kind of like what Alex did previously. Pablo's doing it now, even though he's hitting the notes. In fact, like making the words shorter, it's making it sound more aggressive instead of como controlar, da, 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 da. You know, it keeps like the vibe, but he's like como controlar, and he just like cut it off. So that little bit, it took me off of what Kaiwa just did. It was like, oh, now it's like a different, I can clearly see it's a different singer because the style just changed. Ooh, sorry, Lucas was struggling that one. Like he wasn't, even though it's not a super low baritone, he's not able to hit like move his pitch like a smidge lower, and you can tell because he sounds a little bit flat at first, and then he literally goes off key. Like, I don't know if he ran out of air, because he's like, cosas que me harán pensar. What's the, sorry, let me hear the whole. Mil cosas me harán pensar que voy hacia ti. I don't remember if that's the lyric, but he went off key and que voy, because he's supposed to give it like que voy with like this energy, and I think he tried to do it more, he focused more on the note change than like the feeling he's trying to convey, and he went off key, and it was very obvious. Oh, and you can hear that Yanis is singing very, a little bit, it's in between his chest and his throat, because you can hear he's holding the air in between, and he's counting on that to make the key changes. So it does sound like he runs a little bit out of breath. Like the vocal tone sounds so pretty, like the breathiness, but then it's very like obvious that it's not helping him with his airflow, because he runs out a little bit out of air towards the end. But I love the vocal color that he's like giving the song. It's very like reminiscent to Luis Miguel. And right there, Leo just needs to work better on his like mic control, because he was already walking away while he was still taking the mic off the stand, and that's why like you hear like the distance. So you should never be able to hear a change in like the vocal because of like your mic. If it's something you control your mic distance, you shouldn't be able to hear like that difference of it getting soft and getting loud. Oof, Lucas. I'm struggling, like my throat hurts for you. You can tell he's fighting for those notes. I shouldn't have worn a turtleneck today. You can tell he's fighting for those notes because like you can see all the tension in his neck when he's like, ugh, and like his veins are popping out, like like he's putting a lot of strain, and then he couldn't hit that high note. Like he couldn't hit that high note, and it was like pitchy. I'm so, oh my God, Lucas. Sorry, I was paying attention to their little dancing. Again, here you could tell like they're not all at the same level, like of doing the step. Obviously he was over here hurting himself. Like these three are doing the lean and Kao is not, so I'm not sure what's going on there. And Leo was flat. Que es así? And he sounded que es así? See, like he was not. He keeps trying to force the notes, which make him pitchy and flat. Because instead of like letting the airflow do the vibrato for him, he's trying to do it himself, and you can tell because it's see versus see when it's just the airflow makes it vibrato. Okay, what happened with the choreo there? Was Kawe ahead? Or was he supposed to do his own thing? Because they're all do the slide. But Kawe goes forward before anybody else. I feel like that's a little disjointed. It looks like everybody's doing their own thing. Like Kawe's doing the little forward, sorry if I say this incorrectly, like a forward stepping pas de bourrée, and like some other people are just doing like a step touch going forward, and then these two are not even doing any step touch, they're just doing a walk. So it looks disjointed. They should have all like talked to each other, and like if it was like a little bit of a free flow choreo and it wasn't choreographed, they should have coordinated to say like, oh, let's do this so we look in sync. Because like you have over here Pablo and Kawe like vibing into it, and then Yanis and Leo are just walking forward while they're singing. I don't know if it's because Leo can't sing and dance at the same time, like do a small little choreo, but it looks disjointed. And even here when they're vibing next to each other, like some you can tell that they're feeling the music, and then others, they're very stiff. Al placer. Oh, instead of como transportas al placer. Like he should have pushed from his diaphragm to like let the air flow instead of like pushing it from his throat, and he sounded pitchy. And he ran out of air. Como siempre te soñé. Yeah. Like the soñé should be coming out powerful, not like te soñé. I don't know what's going on here, but it looks funny. Like Kawe, this is how you have control of your airflow. He has control of his airflow. So the vocals are just flowing out of him. Like the air is flowing out of him, and like he's letting his vocal cords do their work, vibrating and creating the vibrato. He's not like forcing it. It's coming out naturally. And you can tell because it sounds like very like woo. Like you could visibly like see the little waves, like the little ripples in the ocean. Like they should all be sliding back at the same amount. So it should be like a perfect line. It should look like perfectly straight, and it looked like this. Because some people either slid too forward at the start and then didn't slide back enough, or some didn't slide back enough. So they ended up looking like a V instead of a line. Because they were all in line. They were all in line. So I think Pablo's in the middle. He didn't slide back enough. So you can see he's like a little bit forward. I love Pablo's vocals, don't get me wrong, but he's giving it a different flavor than everybody else. Everybody else is giving me like this suave, this very soft, easy feeling song. And then Pablo his vocals are a little bit grittier, a little bit stronger. So he stands out, but to me, don't get mad, but to me, it doesn't stand out in a good way. Like, I feel like he should be matching everybody. Because like Gawe, he's doing his own little, you know, his vibrato. He's hitting those high notes, but he's giving you the same feeling as everybody else, because the vocals still sound like smooth and velvety. But like this is the third, like at the beginning, Pablo just sounded like he was giving a more clear vocal, crisp vocal, but now he's sounding it like a little bit like grittier and not suave. Like I get he was trying to be like a little bit like sexy, but he should have stayed with "Son tus caricias" instead of "Son tus caricias," because that just gave it a different, like a little bit twist of a different like vibe. And again, there's this giant gap here, so Pablo's not hitting his marks. So he's like, Leo has less space to work with, because Pablo's like off with the timing of the choreo. And you can tell he's like a little bit ahead for, oh no, Leo is a little bit behind. So you can see this little, right here, this V, and when it should be a straight line, but also like this huge gap does not look good. Like the spacing here is too big, and then these like two are too tight. Who struggled at the end. And if Pablo's in the center, he should make sure he's in the center, because right now he's like a little like off to the side. Everybody else is in their marks, but Pablo's off to the side, and that's why it's like so noticeable. No, boys, no. Yannis lost his balance first, and then Leo did. Like, if this is the ending pose, they should be able to hold it for at least 5 seconds, and then get off the pose. You know, like if you're all like in time together, synchronized, you should know it's like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, step down. But it just like fell apart at the end, because like Yannis, you could see that he was like wobbling. So he put his foot down, and then Leo put his foot down, and everybody just like, okay. It's almost like, okay, I'm done. And it just threw off like how clean it ended, and then it was just like blah 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 blah. So that in itself, even though if it was the ending, they need to finish it clean until the very end, or wait until like the lights dim and then like, you know, go off the positions. But obviously here the lights are all bright, so they should have like make sure, okay, we're gonna hold it for 5 seconds and then put our feet down instead of everybody just doing their thing. Yeah, so those were the thing. I just know I don't like the they should have given him a zip up fly instead of button, because those like stand out so much compared to everybody else. Looks so clean, and then it's like, look at my zipper buttons, so shiny. But yeah, from this performance, from this group, they all pretty much stayed on key, with the exception of like Lucas going off key a couple times, Yannis losing his like airflow for a little bit, and then like just cutting off like the last words. And also at the very end, I feel like he should have extended that last note. Siempre te soñé. Like it would have sounded better if he extended it, but again, he ran out of air. Still issues with the timing and the choreography, some people being a little fast, the spacing not being equal, people being like, even like within their lines, people being like a little bit ahead of others. So those little things, obviously it doesn't seem like it's a big deal, but when you're putting a performance, you have to be like, everybody has to be in sync. And again, I keep going back to like, this is a group being created by Hybe. Just like Jessica mentioned, there's a certain expectation because it's a group being created by Hybe. Doesn't matter if it's a Latin pop boy group. I know there's a lot of fans in the comments that are aware of like Hybe artists like TXT, 17, and Hybe now. We're all aware of those artists. BTS. The disadvantage that comes from being an artist that's linked to Hybe, sadly, is a lot of people from other competing companies are looking at them with like a magnifying glass, just looking for any little mistake to criticize them. We've seen it with every single artist that's debuted under Hybe. They criticized Le Sserafim for their vocals, for their stage presence. They've criticized Islet for their vocals, for their choreography. They've criticized they've criticized Cat's Eye just because they're under Hybe labels. So obviously, when this group debuts, even though it's Hybe Latin America, and it's not going to be, even though they're training in the K-pop concept, they're not going to be like going through the machinery of like K-pop, as many performances and going to as many events and as much exposure. But they're under Hybe, so they're gonna be scrutinized, especially if it's like the first boy band in Latin America that's gonna be expected to hit big because they have the Hybe backing. So that's why like they have to be making sure that they're precise in their choreo, they're precise in their vocals, because sadly, people are out there waiting for them to fail so they can be like, haha, Hybe finally has like a flop group. And that's when it's up to them as artists to put in the work, sadly show the haters like, hey, I have the vocals, hey, I have the performance, I have the dance, I'm like a complete package. And also on the fans side, which I already know we're seeing like comparisons to other groups in like other parts of Latin America that are successful or whatever. It's our job as fans to be like, stay in our lane, focus on our artists, support our artists, don't engage in fan wars, because that only gives them more fodder to like hate. But at the same time, our artists that we're standing, they should give us enough for us to back them. If we're gonna say like, they're good singers, they're good performers, they better be on key, they better be on their marks. So I just kind of like went off on a tangent, but that's why I keep like noticing these things that might seem small, because I know like once they debut, we're like 7 days away, 7 days away from debut. Once they debut, all eyes are going to be on them. So they better bring like their A game and try like 110%. But anyways, that was group 1 with Yanis, Lucas, Leo, Pablo, and Kawe. Those are the things that I noticed. Obviously, I can like nitpick a little bit more things or like try to slow it down and catch more things, but then this video would get longer than they usually are. So we're going to be going ahead and moving on to group 2, which is going to have the remainder of our boys. Perfect. The turn is perfectly timed. Everybody did back step turn. So we have Gavi, Alejandro, Drew in the middle. A boy in the middle, doing his thing, being a boy in the middle. Who Spanish is not his first language. He's the main dancer in the middle, being in the middle. Kenneth and Alex. Again, stylists, thank you again for doing your job right. Like, they had to do the job right because for Suave, they couldn't like mess up the choreo for like the look for Suave because it's like Luis Miguel. It's gotta give you Luis Miguel vibes. It's gotta make you think of Luis Me back when he was in his prime. So starting off with Gabby with the light net denim. I love the bright pink color on him with the white shirt. Like I feel like it fits his skin tone. It like goes perfectly with his blonde hair. It looks very clean. Alejandro, our favorite preppy boy, back to his signature style. Thank you. With the denim and the belt, the longer black coat, the v-neck shirt, like he likes his v-neck shirts. I think you should have buttoned it a little bit. One more button, sir. It's a little too low, a little too risque. You haven't debuted yet. You have to maintain your modesty, you know. We're supposed to wait 3 years to see some skin, but whatever. Looking handsome as always. My man Drew over here with the khaki colored and like the brown. Like I love this tan with the print on his shirt and like the style. He gives me very like very 70s style, but minus the bell bottoms. So I like, it looks good. I feel like it fits him. Like it screams like Drew. This is Drew because he's got personality like him. Then we have our boy Kenneth with the dark denim and the lavender jacket. I can't tell if it's lavender or pink with a white shirt. I caught him in a very sassy pose. He's looking cute as always with his little toupee. And then we have Alex with like a light wash, more like a medium wash denim, and also to tie in the brown to tie in with Drew. And then again, he has the print with the open, like again, button it up, sir. We're not there yet. You guys have a couple more years. But I like how it's style-wise, they complement each other, so it looks cohesive because they all have pants, white shirt, or like button-up shirt with a jacket. All of them have the same look with the belt. Then it's just a play of like tying in the purple with the lavender, so those two tie in, and then tying the tan with the tan, so those tie in, and then my man Alejandro, the only one in the black. But it's like that's his style, you know. And again, he's like mini baby Luis Me. But anyways, we're gonna start it over again. See how this group 2 does. And it's timed perfectly with the horns. The crisscross, like cross leg turn, like knee. And then starting off with our boy Gabi. They didn't do his Jester Beaver bangs this time, just side sweep. Okay. And I don't know about you guys, but his eyebrows draw me in every time. Like he has such thick eyebrows. I don't know. Like they're very expressive. That's just something that I've noticed. Ah! Yes, Gabi! You're bringing it back with the strong vocals. But even though he's oh my god, well, I always forget the word when I'm trying to say it. He's delivering like the strong vocal, but there's still like a breathiness to it if you can hear it. And I feel like that's his signature style, to sound like a little bit breathy and out of breath, but this time he's actually exhaling enough air so the vocals are like coming out louder. When it's perfect, especially for like kicking this off the song, which like the very like from your chest, like the vocals are coming from your chest, but it's still giving you like that breathlessness feeling without feeling like you're running out of air. So it's like starting off the vibe perfect.
Estimula su calor, su forma de caminar, sensual hacia mí.
I spoke too soon. Oh my god. He ran out of air when he was calor. He cut it like calor because he ran out of air. Gabby, why you gotta do me like that?
Estimula su calor, su forma de
Estimula su calor. But I don't know why he went calor. Like there was an audible pause and like that like broke the spell because it should have been like estimula su calor. Like you're still holding the key even though it drops, and you still hold the key and you're still like it's full one word. It's not calor, it's calor.
caminar, sensual hacia mí.
So that's where I feel like he still needs to work on his airflow because it's like estimula su calor sensual. Like he's taking too many breaths too soon. So like at one point he let out too much air, and that's like just breaking. It's making the song choppy. Ah, Gabby.
Déjate llevar por la música que incita. Nuestros cuerpos no quieren parar de
Another example again of where para ar, but not only that, he's flat. Like he also has like that breathiness sound to his voice, his vocals, but he's so flat that he's just like but I was looking at everybody vibing and everybody's in their own little world. Even though it's just like side steps, they should all be making them like with the same level of exaggeration. Like Kenneth, Drew, and Gabi are like accentuating more the knee motions, and Alejandro's doing more like toe touches. So he needs to work on that a little bit.
por la música que incita. Nuestros cuerpos no quieren parar.
Por la música que incita. Nuestros cuerpos no quieren parar. He's making the accents on himself instead of nuestros cuerpos no quieren parar. Parar. See how it's like continuous, but he's like parar. There's no comma. It's not para, comma, ar. It's parar.
Déjate luchar.
And he ran out of air, and then he's still off key, flat, and then he goes off key. Déjate luchar. Déjate luchar. Like he's taking off the flavor. You're taking out the condiments, and you're just giving me like a bland water. You're giving me flavored water with no flavor. You're giving me flavored water with no condiments.
Déjate luchar. Qué razón para que me ames. Nuestro destino es así.
Like the contrast, you guys, the contrast from Alex to Alejandro. It's so bad. Like you can't, like when if they debut him for some God knows for what reason, like there's gonna be times when they can't hide his bad vocals. Cause how do you go from like Gavi's little like smooth, even though he ran out of air, he was giving us the flavor, and then it's like actually no, here's flavorless Alex that he's gonna go off key, and then we have like mini Luis Me coming in with the vocals again, bringing back the flavor. Like it makes Alex stand out so much more. It makes it so obvious.
Para que me ames.
See, they should have done that for group one when it was Kenneth's time instead of having Kenneth. Instead of having Kawe also do the spin with everybody else, they should have had it with Drew. How you notice how Drew, everybody spun but Drew because he was singing the line. Yes, he was a little flat, but it was good that he was the only one, since he was singing, he was the only one that didn't do the turn. And it's almost like he was like activate and he made them turn. So that looks visually good. Vocal wise, obviously he can't hit the same higher notes that Alejandro can hit and like Kawe and Kenneth, but he did it in his range. They arranged it so he did it in his range and he was able to hit those keys. Like he's giving you like that youthful, very like fresh sound. And again, he's not a vocalist, but like his improvement is like so big from when he started to now. The fact that like, that's why they put him in the middle, because they're like showcasing him like, here's our lead dancer and he can sing too. And now they put this guy in the end because it's like, yes, he's a dancer, but he can't sing, so we're just gonna try to like not focus on him as much. And Gavi, we know he was a little bit off with the steps because it looked like when they were doing this part, he was kind of like looking for other people to like see what's next. But I mean, I feel like he at least is trying to sell it and he's giving you more of the flavor, where Alex sometimes still feels like a little mechanical. Alex, to me, he feels like he's like hitting all the dance steps, but everybody else is like hitting the steps but giving them like a flow, so they don't look like as marked, like they blend into each other.
Es el perfume de tu piel suave, son tus caricias, como siempre te soñé, como siempre te soñé.
Like obviously he's still working on his lower register because como siempre te soñé, como siempre te soñé. Like he's still having a difficulty switching to lower, like a lower key. But I don't want to say it sounded as bad because it didn't sound off, but like he maintained for most of it and then like just this little bit. Like I feel like give him another week to work on it and he would have nailed it.
Controlar la cálida seducción que tienes cuando me das tus besos, que no quiera evitar, mil cosas me harán pensar que voy hacia ti.
Okay, the one thing I will have a little bit of beef with Ale, just like the same commentary that I had for Kenneth during everybody, for Ale, I love his vocals, I love his range, but right now I feel like he's trying to be a little bit too like acting. And I get it, it's because you got the feedback to have like more stage presence. I get that. But I feel like he needs to control the acting because it's making him lose like those sharp movements that he's doing. It's making them expel air, so at times it does sound like he's losing air, and he did go off key a little bit. Me harán pensar, like he went off key right there. Me harán pensar, and he's like pensar, like he did go off key. It almost sounded like he said pensar, like he spoke it instead of saying it. Right there, Kenneth needed to work on his pronunciation. Por la música. See how it's like por la música, but he's like por la música. So it was like, ugh. Like, what's the double R doing here? Por la música que incita. Por, like he rolled his R's too much. Like the vocals are there, it's just the pronunciation. Again, la razón para que me ames, but he's like razón. He's being a little aggressive, Calm down, bro. See what I mean? Like I mentioned in the previous video, he can hit the notes. He's very beautiful. He can hit the notes. He can control his airflow, but he has to work a little bit harder to hit those notes, and it's starting to strain his vocals. Because right here is, I think this is the first time in any performance that I've heard his voice crack. So that's why I'm like, he needs to take care of his vocals. I know he can hit the notes if he like puts in that extra effort, but he can damage his vocals, and it's something that can happen to good vocalists. Look at Adele. That's why she takes so many breaks in between albums, because she's always tearing up her vocal cords. She's a power ballad singer. She sounds amazing, but she's not taking care of her vocal cords, and she's always tearing them up. And I feel like Kenneth is in that little bit of a stage where he's going through his voice is changing. He's still trying to hit the notes of like the vocal notes that are a little bit like more mature. He's achieving it, but it's like I feel like he's straining his vocal cords. And right here's the first time that we heard like a crack come from him. And like it's the first time that it's like I visibly see that he's like taking in air. Whereas before I feel like he was a little bit more, had a little bit more control. Even during like Bad Desire that had more intense choreo and like more bouncing, he sounded steadier than he is sounding here. Like I feel like, I don't know if it's like him and Ale are just going too hard with the extensions and the side moves, but they're not keeping the air control. And even there, me ames, he went off key a little bit. And you can hear Alex, even though it's a chorus, Suave. You can hear Alex off key, Suave. Like, not off key, but just flat. Everybody's like harmonizing, Suave. And you have Suave. And you can hear Suave. You can hear it. I was wondering who that was. That was Alex. Ale! Oh yeah. I'm sorry, Gabby's making me laugh. Sometimes he gets like so into the choreo that he gets. I'm laughing not like, oh my god, he looks so funny, but like it's adorable. He's like feeling in the groove. And Ale coming in through with the vocals, like the strong vocals and like steady. Like he got control back of his airflow because he's like extending those notes, like the high notes, I guess you could see like power ballad notes from his chest going, which matches like the band, you know, the band sounds. It matches the vibe perfectly. The whole package right there. We have these two over here vibing with each other, and poor Kenneth is on his own over here with Alex. Like, see, you could see the chemistry here better than with here. Like, I know that like I literally know that they're trying to make everybody else look more youthful to see if Kenneth blends it a little bit more, but Kenneth still looks really young. And I wanted to mention, like, again, this song is not explicitly sexual, like it doesn't have raunchy lyrics, but the undertone of the lyrics are sexy because it's singing like suave son tus caricias, como siempre te soñé, suave, something something al placer. So they're talking about like you know, they're talking about more than kissing. So I like the fact, I forgot what line it was that Kenneth sang. I'm like, is this age appropriate? It's not obvious, but like the overall, if you're listening to the lyrics, what it's about, it's like, is this age appropriate?
Como transportas al placer. Amor sin prisas, como siempre te soñé.
See, and here's a perfect example of how you can make it gritty, but not, it doesn't sound gritty. Because he can contain it. Amor, amor sin prisas. Like, instead of amor sin prisa, you know, it doesn't sound as aggressive. So that's where you have to, you can still give it that little bit of like a grit, but not come off aggressive like Pablo did. It's just in the pronunciation.
Sin prisas, como siempre te soñé. Como siempre te soñé.
He went off pitch. But it's fine because he was helping to lead the, put, like, set the mood for Alex.
Te soñé. Inexplicable fantasía.
He almost had it, but then he's like, flat. Inexplicable fantasía. Like, if he would have extended it, it would have been hidden a little better, but he's like, inexplicable fantasía. Like, the way he cuts off the vowels at the end, it makes it so obvious.
Esclavo al fin soy de tu piel.
See, even though Gabby's a little bit off key too, the fact that he extended it kind of softens it.
Suave, como me mata tu mirada. Suave, es tu perfume de tu piel. Suave, es tu caricias, como siempre te soñé. Como siempre te soñé. Como una brisa.
Good job, Drew. Good effort. Good effort. Like, the only thing I have, he does sound a little bit pitchy, but he's like controlling it for the most part. But I wanted to look at the choreo.
Perfume de tu piel. Suave, es tu caricia.
Like, again, everybody's off doing their own thing. Gabby's at least matching Drew a little bit. But like, if Drew is doing a little like hip out, like hip knee out, like everybody else should be doing something similar, like with like grooving with their hips side to side or with like their knees, but they're not. So it looks a little bit like, you could tell that they're not in sync. Because he's just, oh, I just noticed that Kenneth's pants are like a little bit of like a checkered pattern. Kenneth's just doing like accent steps. These two are grooving. I don't know what he's doing. I didn't even see what Ale was doing. Oh, Ale's just like vibing in his spot. So they need to match. Everybody needs to match. They should be doing like a little bit of the same flowy.
Como siempre te soñé, como siempre te soñé. Como la brisa del verano, suave. Como transportas al placer, suave. Amor sin prisa, como siempre te soñé, como siempre te soñé.
Okay, see how everybody at least kept their balance? He the only one that was either early was Drew or everybody else was late. So I don't know if like the main dancer was early or if the main dancer was late in putting down his foot. But at least it was like a very clean, like foot down instead of like I'm wobbling and I'm gonna put my foot out to the side. And at least like this looks clean. Whereas the other group looked like it just fell apart at the end because people were like falling off and they're like sticking their feet out to the side. But here's another example. The lyrics. Como transportas al placer. Like soft, the way you transport to pleasure. Is that an age-appropriate lyric for Kenneth? I don't know. Like, where's the line? You know? And this time, like, Kenneth did great with his vocal, like in the second portion of the lines they gave him. I just want to go back to like that choreo during his part. I don't know about this shoe choice for Alex, because everybody's wearing black shoes and he's wearing like, they look like, are those Tim's?
Como transportas al placer, suave, amor sin prisa, como siempre te soñé, como siempre te soñé.
Did Ale not do, was he supposed to do like a side pose? Because it looks like Alex and Gabby are doing like a little bit of like to the opposite side of Drew.
Como siempre te soñé.
Oh no, it's just a pose. Yeah, I think Drew was early. But in this case, it kind of works because he's in the center. So you could play it off of like, he's doing the ripple effect. He puts his foot down first and then the others. But it looked clean at least. It wasn't like, timber, oh, blah, 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 blah. So again, nobody was perfect because nobody's perfect. Everybody still has stuff to work on, like I mentioned. Ale, amazing vocals. Glad to have the preppy boy back. Thank you. Amazing vocals. The first portion, I feel like he was a little too excited because he's like, oh my God, I'm doing Luis Miguel. Let's go. And he got a little bit like off key and like a little breathy, but he came back strong and he like cleaned that up. So amazing. Gavi, I feel like same thing. He was probably like nervous at the beginning, but he still needs to work on having enough air to like finish your lines. Because what happens is when you run out of air, you start to panic, and that's when you start going off key. You start losing the vocal, like the note that you're supposed to be holding, because you're like, oh my God, how long am I going to be able to keep this? And then it just like deflates. Drew, I'm so proud of him. He's like gotten so much better from when he started. Obviously, you can tell because they're giving him more lines, and they're giving him like lead vocal lines, not just like backup chorus. Obviously, everybody had like their own little portion where they're supposed to shine. I feel like Drew is finally finding like what his pitch is, like what his vocal range is, and they're working with that to make it stronger. So yes, he wasn't like perfectly in pitch at all times, but again, from when he started, how many months has the show, obviously for us, has been like compressed, but they've been training for like how many months? 6 months now. I feel like the progress he's done in 6 months is like amazing, and he can only get better. One example that I have, just like circling back to Hybe for you guys, of how if somebody puts in the work and they show that their willingness to put in the work and put in the effort, they can get like so much vastly improved, like in leaps and bounds. Here, Drew has the advantage that he's like he's got the dance part down because he's the lead dancer. He's like performance and dance, he's perfect. He just needs to work on his vocals. But a perfect example of how you can improve vocally is going back to Hybe. There's a member, his name is Jake. From the group, from when he started to by the time they finished, his vocals were so much more improved. But he was the only trainee that had been training for 6 months. He had been only training for 6 months. And by the time they debuted and to now, like his vocals are so good. Obviously, he's not the lead vocal of the group, but he can hold his own, and they give him like lead lines, and he's like, his dancing has improved so much, his performance, like he fits in so well, he blends in with the group, he like brings something to the group. They're not having to like hide his vocals because his vocals are weak. He's been giving like leading lines to the songs, he's been giving like main lines during the verses. So to me, I was like, oh my God, this kid literally, like, he's only trained for 6 months. He got thrown into this competition show and he made it to the final lineup. Dang, he's putting in the work. That's where I'm seeing like Drew, like, okay, yes, he's had like years of experience with dance, but vocally, he's had like serial experience vocally. And he's almost like in 6 months, he's already improved this much. Give him more months. Like, how much better is he gonna sound? Like, how much more control is he gonna have of his vocals? Because right now he has the air control. He just has to work on the pitch. So that's why I'm like, to me, he's like shown like the most improvement out of everybody that's still here. Which brings me to Alex, that yes, even though he's a dancer, I don't feel like he feels the music. He's good at following choreo, but he's not good at like linking the steps together where it looks flowy. He looks more like a little bit robotic sometimes, and we all know that his vocals are not there. Like, his vocals are just not there. And obviously Kenneth, he's still learning, he's still growing, because you don't stop learning just because you're already a good vocalist at 15th. You kind of had to relearn your vocals once you have your vocal change. Like, once his vocals get deeper, or however they're gonna be once, you know, he goes through puberty, he's gonna have to relearn how to master that. And I feel like one example was, like, obviously, like I mentioned earlier, he did like got pitchy. Like, we heard the voice crack, which we had never heard from him, you know. So that's like something that's like, okay, what is happening? Like, is he getting fatigued? But also, similar to this, going back to Hyphen during the show, for those of you who watched Island, like where they created Hyphen, perfect example of also the youngest member was Nikki. I think he was like 15 also. His vocals from back then to now, night and day. He went from like little kid vocals to like deeper, like more like deeper baritone vocals. So it's like, obviously back then he struggled with like matching the rest of the vocalists that already like sounded great. And then all of a sudden he went through puberty and his voice changed, and now he's like got a deeper voice. So now he kind of has to relearn how to work that instrument. And that's something that's going to happen to Kenneth too. That I feel like we as audience have to be aware of that, how that could have potentially affect the lineup going forward if he does debut, or also take it into account of the producer decide not to debut him yet because they want to hold him for potentially a later project. Taking that into consideration, if it's because of like how much younger he looks compared to everybody, even though like vocally he still sounds young as well, but like he still looks, visibly you can see the difference, that he looks way younger than everybody else. So those are like things that we have to take into account, even though we would love to see him debut. Like, personally, like I say was one of my favorites from the start because of his vocal ability, but now like looking back of like what's the big picture, I don't know what Hybe wants. Like, I don't know what their plan is of who they're going to debut. So what I'm saying is not going to be law, because clearly I don't work for Hybe. I don't know what their plan is, but that's how I'm seeing it now. Like, I would love for him to debut, but is he going to be a good fit depending on how youthful they want the group to be, or like how mature-ish they want it to be. Like, obviously, like the lines, the songs that they're going to be singing, are they age appropriate? Do we want to, like, we can only like try to make him look older as so much without teetering that line of like, oh, he shouldn't be doing this because he's too young and like it's gonna sexualize him. But obviously I feel like this group did a little bit better. They were doing the performance a little bit better aspect. Style-wise, all 10 of them looked amazing. Obviously, everybody has still the things they need to work on, like fine-tune. But like with the choreo, I feel like this group was a little bit more in sync with each other, except for those parts where they were like supposed to be vibing. Everybody was like doing their own thing. But when it was like the side-by-side choreos, they were more synchronized and they looked cleaner. And even towards the end, even though Drew was the first to come off, put his foot down, it still looked cleaner. So those are my thoughts on this performance of Suave. I love that they kept the arrangement from the original. They did rework the keys for some of the members to take into account their vocals, but they did great. They did amazing. They still gave me like that like exuberant, joyful feeling of like, oh my god, I'm finally with my girl, you know, we're vibing. I love that they kept that. that feeling throughout the song, with the exception of like obviously some people being flat, some people being off key. But anyways, we are literally, like I said, 6 days away from the final lineup. I feel like it's one more episode, so we're gonna find out if anybody does get sent home, because they left us on a cliffhanger. I'm like, are you sending Alex home? Are you sending Yannis home? Are you gonna keep them both? Are you gonna send them both home? Like, what is going on? Because if you're choosing between Yannis and Luca, Alex, I'm like, literally, Alex has to go. And I'm so glad that finally, for the first time, the vocal coach says that Alex has not improved. Like, finally they said it out loud, what the fans have all been screaming about online. Like, why are you guys giving him a pass, or why are you not airing his feedback? Finally they said it on air that Alex is not giving the vocals and he's not ready. He's not ready. So let's put the boy out of his misery and like stop keeping his hopes up. If you're gonna send somebody home, just send him home already. Because I think it would be cruel to him to keep him until the finale and then to tell him, you're not going to debut, when they've never given him feedback as like, your vocals are not where they should be. But yeah, we have one more episode. Depending on how that episode goes, we'll find out when it starts on Thursday, if anybody gets sent home or not, if we're going to go into the final lineup with 10 people waiting to see if they get chosen for the like 5-member group. But anyways, let me know what you guys thought, as always. Please, I love the fact that you guys are interacting so much in the comments and just like responding back and forth and having a good, healthy conversations and like stating your opinions without being rude to each other. Keep it up. You guys are amazing. I wonder what the fandom name is gonna be, because I feel like we should be like Las Bravas or something. I don't know. Bravitas. I don't know. Santitas. I don't even know. But anyways, let me know what you guys thought in the comments, and I'll see you next time.